Hi. Having talked about recording your narrative, let's now get into how to import it into Camtasia and then edit it until it serves your purposes. Before doing that, and for no other reason than that this is as good a time as any, I will show you how to start and save your new Camtasia project. You start up Camtasia in pretty much the same way you start most programs. Navigate to it through your Windows Start icon, click on a Camtasia icon in your tray, or double-click on an icon in your desktop, then click on New Project. To save your project for the first time, at the top of the page, click on File, followed by Save. After you indicate where you want to save your project and what it should be called, you'll get a pop-up about the project being saved. Click on OK. Now we'll import the WAV file with the recording of your narrative. Once again, we'll use the drop-down menu at the top of the page. Click on File, followed by Import, and then Media. Navigate to the WAV file and click on Open. If the media bin is not already being displayed, click on Media along the left side of the page. You will see the WAV file displayed in the media bin. To incorporate your narrative in your video, click and drag your WAV file from the media bin to one of the tracks in the timeline. For now, let's assume that you want the narration to begin at the beginning of the video. However, if you do not want the narration to begin immediately, you may click and drag it to the right within its track. If the playhead is not already at time 0, place it in that position. Click the play button and listen to your narration. In an earlier video, I said that reading from a script makes my recitation smoother. That being said, there are always things I want to edit within Camtasia. For example, I said that if you make a mistake, just pause and then do that part over again. But how do you get rid of those first tries? There are a couple of things you can do. First of all, you might want to zoom in on the section of the timeline that's of interest. You can do this using a slider immediately above the timeline. If you look at the playhead, you will see that it is straddled by a green and red marker, respectively. Click and drag the green marker to the beginning of the section you want to remove. Move the red marker to the end of the section. Clicking on the scissors icon, located above the timeline, will cause the section to be snipped out. The content to the right of that section on the timeline will then shift to the left to fill the space vacated by the deleted section. Keep in mind that, if you have multiple tracks, snipping out that section on the timeline may do the same thing to your other tracks, and sometimes this is not what you want. You could avoid this by locking the other tracks. To the right of each track name, there are 3 icons arranged vertically. Clicking on the icon that looks like a padlock will lock the track. Or if the track is already locked, unlock it. However, the lock track icon is very close to other icons that, if accidentally clicked, will have dramatically different effects. Therefore, I often use a different approach to locking the track. If you position your cursor between the track name and the icons and right-click with your mouse, one of the options that appears is Lock Track. Above the timeline in the same area as the snip icon, you will find the Split icon. If you have one of your tracks selected, and you click on the split icon, it will split your track at the current location of the playhead. Instead of the snip function, you could use the split function as another way to get rid of those flubbed sections of your narrative. Use split to create a break between the beginning of the unwanted section and the content that precedes it. Click on the track to the right of the break to select it. Use split again to create a break between the end of the unwanted section and the content that follows. After clicking on the unwanted section of the track to select it, use the Delete key on your keyboard to delete it. Note that this leaves an empty gap in your track since the content to the right is not automatically shifted to the left. When recording my narratives, I often take breaths, which are audible during pauses between sentences. I also use the split function to address this. As in the previous example, use split to isolate the section containing the pause. You could then select and delete the section. However, I often use a different approach. If you look at the audio track, you will see that it consists of 2 horizontal bands, a gray one on the top and a bluish-green one on the bottom. If you hover your cursor above the dividing line between the two, an up and down arrow will appear. Click and drag the line to reduce the volume level of the segment, or mute it entirely. If during your editing endeavors you decide that you've done something that you regret, note that there is an undo icon above the timeline. It's in the same general vicinity of the snip and split icons. So there you have my basic techniques for editing audio tracks. Most of them also work for other types of tracks. In the next video, I'll talk about some ways of introducing static visual content into your video.